Hey everybody, Dr. Ray Pastor here, and today I have a question. The question was posed. One of my parents, and this isn't my question, this is a question someone posed to me. One of my parents is not saving for retirement. They're in their early 60s. They're working, but they haven't saved really anything yet. What are they supposed to do? I get this question a lot from people. And they really want to know, how do you save for retirement? What do you do if you're late? What should you be doing if you're early? What are you supposed to be doing? All right. And the advice doesn't change too much based on that age. Obviously, there's a little difference in focus, but the general advice doesn't change too much. So first of all, what you need to do is you need to figure out how much you actually need when you're going to retire. So how do you figure that out? You have to expense your life. How much do you cost? How much do you need? There's a big difference between, there's not like I can just tell everyone you need $1 million, because there's a big difference if you have a house payment or you paid off your house. If you have a really expensive lifestyle versus not an expensive lifestyle. So figure out how much you need per year. And what you do is you multiply that times 25. So if you need $50,000 a year, you should, in general, have $1.25 million saved up for retirement so that you can withdraw $50,000 per year, accounting for inflation. So that's roughly 4% per year. All right, so that's how you figure out how much you need. Okay, now how do you get there? That's the real question, though. That's the real kicker. So obviously, the earlier that you start saving, the better. But sometimes we don't do that. And we don't always know where we're supposed to put our money, like what we're supposed to do. So let's talk a little bit about that. The first things that you should do at any age, assuming that you qualify, is open up a Roth IRA. 100% get a Roth IRA open. And also, assuming that you're working because you're opening up a Roth IRA, check your company's retirement plan and see if you have a 401k. And then what you're going to do is you're going to run some numbers and see where you should be putting your money. Most likely, the first place that you should put your money is your company's IRA, their 401k plan. Why? Because usually it's tax-free. Check how much you can put in it, but a lot of times your company will contribute some percentage of money. Sometimes they'll match what you put in there, which is awesome. That's just free money for you. Imagine putting in 10 grand a year and getting a free 10 grand back from your company. And you have to check how long it takes you to be vested and all that kind of stuff, but it's 100% free money for you. So if your company puts any percentage of money in, that's 100% the first place to put your money in. So that's my first piece of advice for anyone looking to put their money in. You look at your company's plan and you put your money in there. Now, let's say you don't have that. You have a couple options. And what I like to generally tell people is get some kind of retirement account, whether it's a tax-free IRA. If it's they can't get that 401k from work, get some kind of Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is actually an after-tax IRA, and what it means is that you can, as an individual, contribute $6,000. Right now, the max is $6,000 per year, assuming that you're eligible for the Roth. So you're going to set up a Roth IRA. You're going to try to contribute it. Now, you're probably asking, why do I need this retirement account? Like, what are the benefits of these retirement accounts? So really, the first benefit to a non-taxable account, to a tax-free account, means that you're putting your money in before you've paid taxes on it. And usually that's what those employer accounts are, that before taxes. So if you make 50 grand per year and you put $5,000 in, you're only taxed on $45,000 because the $5,000 went into that account. And then you're taxed on that money when you pull it out. The other kind of retirement account is after tax. So you actually have already paid tax on the money, put it in there, which is generally what a Roth IRA does. And then you're taxed on the amount of money when you pull it out that you've actually made and earned, not what you've already paid taxes on. So usually I like to tell people, set up a retirement account. Always check with your employer first. If not, go set up a Roth IRA. You're allowed to contribute. And obviously, what I tell you to do is contribute the max amount of money that you can. So in your Roth, you can put $6,000 per year. So I would tell you to put all of your money that you can in these retirement accounts. After you, if you still have money left over, so what we like to say is, the further you are away from retirement, the more lenient you can be to this. But those people that are asking, hey, I'm 60 years old and I don't have anything saved, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, you need to save a lot. You need to double, triple, quadruple down. You need to cut your budget, cut budgets, and we need to actually get this money in some kind of account. Now, the thing is, as I said, like this Roth, you can only put X amount of dollars in, and a taxable IRA, you can only put X amount of dollars in. So if you've maxed out those accounts, you start a taxable account that you have to pay taxes on every year. It's not part of a retirement plan, but it's just another account. Where should you do all of this? Well, I don't want to be biased towards one bank or another. Obviously, you want to look at your employer for your employer's plan, but I wouldn't go to your local bank to do this stuff. I personally really like Fidelity. It's free to trade, free to create these accounts, and they have a really good interface, mobile app, and computer system. But you can go to Vanguard, you can go to TIAA-CREF. There's numerous large financial banks out there that can handle this kind of stuff. It's very low cost as far as what they charge you for the account. And so I would recommend you go to any of those kind of accounts. But I personally use Fidelity. So you're going to set up your accounts. The first place that you're going to put your money is in these retirement accounts, right? Once you've maxed them out, you're going to put it in your taxable account. All right. So how much do you need to save per month? How much you need to cut your budget? How much you need to put in? Well, when you figured out that max number, that 25 times the amount that you need, and it'll be how close are you to actual retirement versus, someone that's 18 can put a little less in than someone that's 60. But that person that's 18, the more they put in now, the more money they're going to have. Let me just put it this way. The more money that you put in early, the better off you're going to be, because there's something called compounding interest. So when you have your money in the stock market, and I'm going to talk in a second about how to invest your money. But let's assume your money's in some kind of mutual fund or something like that. Let's say you gain an average of, it doesn't even matter. Let's just say you gain interest every year. If you put $15,000 in that account on the day you were born, assuming the market stays the same and accounting for inflation, in today's money at 70 years old, you would have over $1 million. Over $1 million by putting $15,000 in. That's the power of compounding. So the earlier you are in life and the more money you put in, you're going to be set. You're setting yourself up. You don't need to put a lot in, and you're going to be set when you retire by just putting a little bit in. That's awesome. So parents out there that can afford this for their children, best thing you can do is save for them early so that they can rest a little easy in retirement. And I don't agree with spoiling kids or anything like that, but I don't think giving them something for retirement is spoiling them. Anyway, so the next question that you ask is, where should I put this money? And this is one of those, I have an answer for 99% of the population, and I have an answer for that 1%. So let's start out with most likely if you're watching this, you're the person in the 99% that should be putting your money here. 100% put your money in an S&P 500 index fund. Fidelity has one, TIAA-CREF has one, Vanguard has one, all the big banks have one. This is where, Warren Buffett, has said that most investment banks cannot beat the S&P 500. There is a reason for that, but I'm not going to get into that video, and it's actually on purpose in a lot of cases. But anyway, they can't beat the S&P 500. He has said that when he passes away, he wants the money that he's leaving for his wife is going to go into an S&P 500 account. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's where it's going. On average, assuming that history repeats itself, that account should gain between 6 and 7, really like 6.5% per year in compound interest. Every year you gain 6.5% interest on that account, which is awesome. So in reality, most people should invest in the S&P 500 index fund. Don't look at these weird mutual funds. Don't look at these weird types of accounts. You know, a lot of times an advisor for like your company or something is trying to sell you some kind of fund that costs a lot of money and is not going to do well. S&P 500 index fund. That's it. It's the only thing you need to worry about. Nothing. Don't even look at anything else. Now, for that 1% of the population that actually has time and cares about investing and is looking at stocks and stuff like that, you can be a little more lenient. For example, I'm probably right now like 50% S&P 500, and then I got a lot of money in some stocks. Now you have to remember that my retirement is not, I'm not banking on a 401k, because personally, I have a pension, I have investment properties, and I have the 401k. So I can be a little more risky with my 401k than most people can because of that, because I've diversified really well. And I'll talk about that in other videos. But it's something to really think about and really consider. So if you want to be a little risky, what are you going to invest in? I can't tell you. I can tell you where I have a lot of money in. I'm a professor of technology. I have a lot of money in tech that I understand and know. Invest in what you know, invest in what you have faith in. I personally have money in Apple. I personally have money in Google, Verizon, Walmart, Microsoft, Amazon. You know, the big tech company. That's what I've been. I have a lot of money, and then I have some like play money that I do have in like some really riskier stuff that I play with. If you guys have paid attention to the whole GameStop thing, I was in there in GameStop really early. I also got out before it really popped because I get nervous and sell things. But you know, I have some play money as well. But the majority of my investment is in the S&P 500, and it's where people should go if that's all they have. So what do you do when you're like this, you know, 60, 65 and you haven't saved? Well, assuming that you're going to continue working, it's time to buckle down, cut expenses, and put as much as you possibly can, save it, get it in these accounts. Just get it in there. So let's review. My advice: get as much money you can in retirement accounts. First, you check with your employer and see if your employer has some kind of matching plan, 401k. If they do, 100%, that's where you put your money. 100% until you max that account out, that's where you put your money. Next, if you've done that or you don't have that, we look at different IRAs options that are available to us. I have my money in a Roth IRA. Anyone who's working and under a certain income can create a Roth IRA. You can put $6,000 a year in. I try to max that out. As soon as I've maxed that out, my next thing that I'm maxing out, I have a taxable just account. It's not even a retirement account. That can never be maxed. I just keep putting money in there as much as possible. I get them as high as I can. I keep putting it in an S&P 500 index fund because it will compound, and you will make money year over year the longer it's in and the more that's in it. Think about this. The first dollar you make is the hardest dollar you make when you're saving for retirement. The first dollar that you save is the hardest dollar to make. The first $100 is the hardest $100 because once you made that $100, it's much easier to make $200. When you have $100,000 in, it's much easier to make $200,000, and so forth. So when you have $500,000 in, it's much easier to get to that $1 million mark than it was from zero, because you have that compounding interest building up and building up, and because the interest on 500 grand is a lot higher than the interest off $1. So that's why you just start making more and more money. So you got to keep saving. All right, I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, let me know. But basically, that's what you do for that older adult who does not have, you know, that basic, safety net they need to start to cut, and they need to start to save. How they cut, I've talked about in other videos, but basically, the drill. That might involve cutting living expenses, cutting where they live, cars, phones, streaming services, all that good stuff, and save, 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 save. Time to buckle down. Time to save a lot of money. All right, later all.